Welcome to Lovecars and a very special video, a bit of a COVID video. A look back at some interesting times and some of our favourite videos over these very challenging COVID times.
It has been. But luckily, just before the shutdown, we did all those drag races. We've done something, what I love we've done is the variety of things. And we gathered, about 40 supercars and let the owners drive. We got to have a stick, didn't we, for the owners that didn't know how to work their launch control. Some of the results weren't what you'd expect. But of course, we can't demand to drive those cars. We only get the cars for the drag races because the owners are going to have a go on an airstrip.
Well, SCC Private Members set these owners up, and they came along, and we wanted to do real-world drag races. So you turn up to the traffic lights against somebody else, and you have a bit of a burn-off on the traffic lights. But you're right, it was a very unpredictable. We did some amazing drag races.
We got into some. I got into the F40. That was an iconic moment for me.
Wheels spin everywhere.
That was a very, very, very good start. I'll give you that. F40 pista, but F40, me, you, and the McLaren P1.
It's gone. The turbo's gone in. I can't leave a Ferrari. I can't leave a Ferrari behind. I might just have to, actually. The turbos are in and he's gonna get me, Bye! I didn't want to do it to a Ferrari, but it had to be done. If I spooled up my turbos, you would have been in trouble.
That was a really iconic race, a very, very special race.
And talking Ferraris, of course, we did some Ferraris, and then in the COVID years, as we'll call them, we did some amazing Ferraris. You were out in the Roma, you did the Roma piece.
Did that in Italy. That was one of the few places I went in the COVID times. So, and the Roma, that's a really good car. Do you see that in that video? A little bit of oppo?
Yeah.
Didn't need the car to do it. I did it all myself, of course. I did the 812, but you did the 812 GTS. He's always got to double up. You got to.
That was a bit epic, though. Remember those hairpin bends? I was on the wet. I couldn't get any grip. I turned the traction control off, and it was just wheel spin, and V12 engine wailing. I mean, wow, you can't beat the V12 Ferrari. I mean, anything else.
Right, speaking of Ferraris, before we move on, we also didn't go on YouTube, but we're at the PaddlUp rooms in Wiltshire, and I got to drive their F40 around South Wales, which was pretty epic as well. So that was right up there in terms of Ferrari. So lots of Ferrari action.
But then we didn't just do supercars like Ferraris, we did electric cars. We did quite a few electric cars. And we're not really big electric fans. We understand it's the future. And if I was commuting to work, I'd happily take an electric car for commuting. But for fun, you have to have the engine, the passion. But we did that triple mini test. What were they, the three cars we had?
That was brilliant. We did 3 triple tests, actually. We did Fiat electric, we did the mini electric, and the Honda
those
E
three
that you
together,
did some donutting on.
I like the Fiat. People seem to like the. I didn't like the styling of the Honda, which a lot of it sort of futuristic look.
I did a separate video with the Honda E as well. 10 things you should know about it. I really like that little car. There's some great quirky little electric cars.
The Ami. We had a laugh in the Ami.
Floor it! Floor it! Come on! That's it!
What was it, maximum 35 miles an hour or something flat
no,
out?
No, less than that, like 35 kilometres an hour. It was a very slow car. And the electric Harley Davidson that you drove.
I did on a bike, electric bike. Well, I enjoyed that. Except it was a bit cold in the winter because it's got no engine to warm you up. It'd be good in the summer when it gets too hot on a bike. That bike, I think what I liked about the bike, because the thing about the cars, you sort of operate an electric car, and there's no gears, and it does it all for you. Whereas the bike, you're still the rider leaning, so you're still much more involved in the driving experience. But
driving experience of electric cars, though, the Rallycross car, the starred Rallycross car.
That was pretty
How
epic.
has that only had 20-odd thousand views? Because that's amazing. That's
Check
one of the most...
that one out.
Yeah.
This is, I did look at some of these, but the Rallycross electric, I think it is the future. Next year, the World Rally Championship is going to be for electric cars because it suits the sort of 4-lap, 10-minute race because then they can recharge the batteries. But the other extreme electric, I did the Mach E and the Mach E GT. I did quite recently, so Ford are very much using the Mustang name that's upset a lot of people, but it's a brand name that they use to.
That's enough electric. We did a lot of electric, but I prefer the V12s. You got any V12s?
We did Rolls-Royces.
Oh.
You did 2 Rolls-Royces.
Well, I did the Ghost up in Scotland, which was epic. The scenery, Scotland, if you've never been there for a road trip, try it out. It is beautiful. So Ghost, and I did Ghost Black Badge. But again, you have to get one-upmanship on me again.
I'm a Phantom man.
I love that video because you told a bit of a story about the Spirit of Ecstasy,
yes.
and Eleanor. And
a bit of research about where the Spirit of Ecstasy gained its wings and everything else. So that was wonderful. The other thing from Rolls-Royces was the Morris 1000 piece. They're reenacting. Well, I had a tear in my end of that one. If you haven't seen that, it was when I first won a racing car. I went motor racing, towing my racing car with the Morris 1000 Traveller. We reenacted that because I now own the Lotus again, and I borrowed a Morris 1000.
Say, that's probably one of the best videos you'll ever watch on YouTube. If you haven't seen it, the Morris 1000 with Tiff is absolutely brilliant. And you went up at the end, not just you. It's quite an emotional sort of video, isn't it?
I was back as a 19-year-old in 1971. That's where I started. And I went back out of my local lanes near my house where I am now, looking in my wing mirror, seeing my Formula Ford bouncing up and down. And yeah, quite special. I quite like it when we do our stories, is that because hardly any people are going to drive iconic supercars and hypercars. And so what we like to do on Lovecars is almost bring you on board and try to give you that experience of what it's like, and hopefully that's what I get through the camera lens. The Porsche GT1 and the F40, of course, like that. Those were 2 amazing cars, which an owner allowed me to drive, very generously owned both of them, because not many people are going to drive Porsche GT1s and Ferrari F40s, that's for sure.
Flipping Fossil Furious does, the owner of these cars, the lucky owner of these cars. He drives them on a very regular basis, but you're right, not many people are going to get to drive those cars.
But back in the real world, we did those 2 quirky open tops.
Oh, KTM and Janarelly.
Yeah, the crossbow against the Janarelly. And
these are the type of things I like doing, and again, sharing that experience with the viewers, because we have a bit of a crack. Hopefully that comes across on the screen. And just enjoy the cars. Try and find the best of the cars. It might not be to our taste every time, but we try and always find good things about the cars.
Quite often, because we're not big BBC, we have to have owners lending us cars. And that you set up that story. Who's the owner of that? We had a V8, a V10 and a V12.
David W. Bushstuff, again from SCC Private Members. What a top... David Bushstuff, if you're watching this, thank you so much. Beautiful cars. Amazing colours, and he's setting up some sort of museum as well, so maybe we'll go visit that in 2022, which will be good. But in terms of fun factor, I don't think you can get much better than the Caterhams. We did a lot of Caterham stuff, of course, if you are new to this channel.
Followed his racing career, his debut season.
Which was a lot of fun. But probably the most fun video we did in the COVID times was the little 170s, 20 odd grand's worth of cars, a pair of Caterhams, tiny little Caterhams.
Hysterical.
Around Landau Circuit. It
side
was
by side.
Can I tell a little story
Wheels
about that?
locking up.
So for the purpose of film here, we sort of, you want to film it and you want to make it look like, it's close as it is. And Tiff said, okay, on this lap, can you remember? On this lap, I'll stay in front, I won't overtake you. Might look like I will, but I won't overtake you. And then you had a bit of a lock-up, didn't you? Going into the corner, we were just both within inches of each other, looking over, just laughing our heads off. And it was such good fun.
A lot of fun that could be had in, what, £25,000 car? One moment you're in a £25 million car, and then you're in a £25,000 car. And,
we're still with a big smile on our faces. I tell you...
And of course, at the end of the year, I did the Corvette Stingray, almost getting back into going on a car launch again, and I was delighted about that Chevrolet Corvette Stingray.
Where is that, in Germany?
Stingray. Yeah, Germany.
It looks nice, the scenery looks
no
really
track, unfortunately, and, when you see the comments saying, well, why didn't you take it on a track? Well, again, unless you've got a £1 million budget, you can't rent a track for a day like some other lucky people can.
But I tell you, for me, there's a lot that we've just covered there, but I think the highlight for me has been something that's been a bit of a labour of love, something that you are an absolute expert at, and I love your opinion. People like to question it sometimes, but we started a podcast. We started a podcast this year during COVID, and it's about motorsport. We do a global motorsport roundup called Lovecars on the Grid. And if you haven't seen that, check it out. But the last few weeks, it's got a bit nuts.
They're all there. We've done 40 there with Max and Lewis at the end of the championship. We had 80,000 views of one, and it's all there on Lovecars, and you can look at all our stories. Paul's racing career is catalogued there in the Caterhams, hypercars, supercars, cheap cars, electric
cars,
motorbikes.
There is all sorts.
Yeah, hopefully you'll look through what we've done and some of the highlights, because sometimes they get dropped off the bottom of the page. And I'll scroll up and check out some of our favourites from the COVID years.
We'll probably try and list them here as well, so you can list below in the comments, which will be worthwhile having a look at as well. But as always, we've got lots of cool stuff to come. We're going to do another TV show as well, which is very exciting. So stay with us and let us know what sort of stuff you want to see as well. We can't please everybody, but we'll try and... We love ideas and different thoughts. So let us know in the comments below, as always.
Cheers.
Cheers.